totally surprised and taken aback by what's happened. And you have to remember, he's been a leader in the community pretty much his entire career. So the number of people that he has mentored, that he has served with, that he has served is enormous. I myself am just in shock. He and I went through a lot together, from the COVID and winter freeze and all kinds of disasters to the Astros wins and the parade and so many experiences. So on a personal note, I really loved him, appreciated his respect for me and his support of me. And on behalf of the county, our deepest condolences to his family and to so many people that he touched. I've spent the morning speaking on the phone with all kinds of people who are just as devastated. And one thing I like to say, we'd always laugh about this. We had this line that, how is it possible that a kid from Acres Homes and an immigrant kid become the mayor and the county executive of places, Houston, as large as Houston Harris County. And so, that's still true that we achieved that. And, we'll get through this together as a community in the days that come.
Kind of alluded to it as judge and former mayor, the partnership you all had to work closely to get things moving day to day. Kind of talk to us a little bit about that legacy, that partnership you two had together.
It's what makes it so hard to really process that he's gone, because I worked with him so closely, and he stood up for me. He stood by my side during my re-election. I stood by his side during his elections, and through the difficult times, we became friends. I mean, people always talked about our differences of opinion during COVID, and of course they were there, but you have to learn to respect each other and work together. And I heard from so many people that for decades the relationship between Harris County and the city of Houston was weak, and that of course was to the detriment of the people of the community. So we were very proud that even though we had different perspectives on some things, we had different backgrounds, we were able to work that through and work together. I mean, just imagine trying to figure out how to navigate a pandemic. It was intensive. Our staffs became very close. I've been reaching out to some of his staff as well, because I know them too, and vice versa. So that's why I keep saying a shock, because I don't think I quite have processed it right now. And he's somebody that I was getting ready to work with now that he was in the Congress, and I thought it was just a perfect capstone for his career. So I'm devastated. His friends are, I know his constituents are, and we'll just have to find out, exactly what happened.
You kind of alluded to it here that in most of his adult life has been serving others in his role in the state legislature as mayor and then Congress member. Talk to us a little bit about what legacy does Sylvester Turner leave?
Well, first, a legacy of service, really dedicating his life to this. But just remember, he's a graduate of Harvard Law School. He's somebody who could have gone and worked at a firm and made all the money, and instead he decided to serve his community. He was elected very young to the state house, and so he always mentored young people. He really wanted to lift the future generations, because he was one of those young people that came in fresh fresh, with a fresh perspective, and really grew from there. And so I think he leaves, of course, a legacy of service, a legacy of leadership, but also a legacy through all the people that he supported, all the young people that he mentored, and just a big hole in our hearts and in Harris County. I mean, we expected for him to be in the Congress for a good few years.
What are some of those qualities from him that you kind of took on as you watched him in his various roles that you've taken up as judge?
Well, his oratory was one of them. So I enjoy public speaking, and so oftentimes he would go first and then I would go, or vice versa. And so we'd watch each other's speeches. I mean, I just knew his stump and he knew mine, and he would start out just real quiet, and almost subdued, and then he would just turn into a preacher almost. And it was just, you'd be totally enraptured by his speaking. His love of community, that is something that we both enjoyed when we had the opportunity to be out in the community together. It was great. He loved to do the shuffle and the Cupid shuffle, and just being yourself. That's something that I'm really proud of, and I like to bring to my role is, let's just be people. And he did that. He was brave enough to do that, and I had, I came in fresh, and so I had conversations with him about, hey, how did you structure your office? How do you handle this kind of thing? And I remember, the first meeting I had the day after my election was with him, and I was a guest of his at City Hall, and we chatted, and we said, we don't know each other, but let's work together. And the first thing we did together was appoint the chairman of the port, who's just been a fantastic leader. So I think we made a lot of good decisions together. We certainly did our very best. Sometimes, you think you're making the best decision, and it turns out not to be the best one in retrospect. But we did our very, very best, and kind of feeling each other out. He's much older than I am, completely different background, long time in politics. I'm here, new, an unknown quantity, and so it was just a real interesting time for us. But we quickly both settled into, we got to work together. And I mean, within 3 months of taking office, we were standing together because of the ITC fire. The city lent us their air monitoring equipment. We didn't have it at the time, and that was the precedent for years of work together.
What are you going to miss most about him? I know that you said that you're still processing this, but what are you going to miss most?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think just his presence everywhere. You would just see him everywhere, and it was the kind of thing where we would gravitate toward each other because we knew each other well. And so it was sort of that comfort of, you're always, as a public servant, a politician, you go to so many events and you never know what you're going to encounter. And so you sort of got this armor, right? Just to steel yourself for whatever's coming your way. But whenever I saw him, okay, here's a friendly face. Here's someone I'm going to just go stand by, say a quick hello, and I know we're in this together. And I want to think it was the same for him. And we'd joke and we'd just sort of have our own little inside jokes. So I saw him last, probably not even 2 weeks ago, and it was the same thing. I was telling him about some funny story that had just happened to me prior, and so I'll miss his laugh too. He had a real funny laugh. He really did.
What does this do for the Harris County Democratic Party? This loss.
It's just been a brutal year, a brutal few months. Many party figures, certainly locally, and representatives to our various levels of government. It's you can never really explain tragedy, right? And people think about it differently and according to their faith. But it's been a really hard year for us as a party, and that's no secret. So this is certainly not. This is certainly not something we expected, but the conversations I keep having is we're going to get through this together. It is, when I first heard of his passing, my thought was, I got to call the congresswoman, see how she's doing. Well, she died last year, and so, oh my goodness, it's almost hard to believe. But, such is life. And so we are all focused on supporting his daughter, those that were closest to him. As I said, my colleague, Commissioner Ellis, they were very, very close. I mean, they knew each other since they were, before they were in elective office, probably before they even went to college. And so he's heading to D.C. with his daughter, and then the rest of us are here, ready to support them and just supporting each other as we get through this.
What would your message be to the folks in the 18th Congressional District? You just kind of mentioned that this is now the second biggest loss for the folks in that district, losing, their representative. What would your message be to those folks?
It is an historic district. It is a district that has been through a lot and seen a lot of positive changes. And this is a time of absolute tragedy. But I think the district is nothing if not strong. And it's a tight-knit community. It's a series of tight-knit communities, and we're all going to be focused to see how we can best support those folks. But there is still a representation. Certainly, they're all my constituents. And we're here, just as this goes on, we're watching out. If anything takes place, we're ready to jump in. Español?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, everybody. We've been listening live to the Harris County Judge Lina Hidalgo, who she basically hit it on the head. She hit on all the points that resonate with so many people in Houston and Harris County. She talked about all the disasters that she shared as a partner with then Mayor Sylvester Turner. Yes. All the parades, all the support that he gave her when she was a newbie in politics and he was a veteran in politics, offering her condolences to all those who knew and loved him, talking about the hole that we have now in leadership in the Democratic Party and in Houston, in the state and the nation. And she went on about his oratory skills, which are world class, if you ask me. The way he spoke to people, the way he spoke at events, and she said that he would get into almost like a preacher-like mode. Oftentimes he was a preacher, and his church was the city of Houston, if I may.
Yes, you may. We're hearing that being a consistent theme as more friends and family and colleagues share their condolences. They mentioned what an incredible speaker he was.